Well, it's great that you're at Mass, and it's always my intention, I don't know if I always accomplish it, to further our belief in Jesus Christ, Lord and lover of our souls, desire heaven all the more, cast away useless detachments, and be ever greater in love, obviously, with God and from God in the Holy Communion with each other. That's always my intention. I don't always accomplish it. So I gave the homily to the altar boys and to the fine acolyte before Mass, and they said, just stick with the homily you gave us. Don't add, don't even use your notes. So here's the homily I gave them. It only took 3 minutes. I'm sure it's going to take 13 with you. Okay? But the homily was simple. I said, I want to stay away from the death, the murder of the young boy at today's homily. I want to stay away from it. And in my prayer, in my reflection, it just kept coming back to me. So this is not an attempt to exonerate anybody. This is one reflection. We sit as a community of faith, as believers on all sides of the spectrum here. I would imagine I don't know this, it's kind of an outlier. There may be someone at Mass this morning who's just totally apathetic. I don't know if that's true. It's possible. I bet there's more on the side of the spectrum of outrage and where's the justice? And I'm not here to answer either one of those. I'm here to give my reflection on this horrible incident and murder of a helpless innocent child. I'll start with my grandma. When I was in college, my grandma died. I had a dream. She died the night she died. I had a dream. And I found out at Northern Illinois, that's where I went to school. I was walking by the front desk. He says, you need to call your house. I go, Stu, he was the manager of the plaza where I lived. I go, what happened? He goes, tell me. Because your grandma died. Oh. I went to the front, and these were times where I was doing the college lifestyle, if you know what that means. And I was just shook to my core. And it was only after deeper reflection that I understand. That was the first time I experienced death. And it was hard. I cried and cried and cried. I still love my grandma. But I had no point of reference. This was the first time my mom was alive, my dad was alive. I never experienced death before. As a priest, I've buried children and spouses. There's a big difference, though, between an accidental death, a cancer death, illness. Suicides are much more difficult. Difficult is not the right word. See, again, I got to be careful. That's not the right word. I need a word with much more emphasis than difficult is not the right word. Tragic is the word. And someone here may have experienced that in your own family. Dying by the hands of a murderer? It's just another level. In preparation this morning, up early, as God has allowed me by His grace to enjoy the morning, sobriety allows you to claim the morning. I wasn't able to claim the morning. I was the night guy. Now I'm the morning guy. Actually, at that house, I think I'm both. But having said that, I'm not finished reading A Man's Search for Meaning on Auschwitz. And it's something you should read. It's a must read. 6 million people. I was there. They didn't just kill them. They didn't just gas them. They burned them. They wanted no trace of a whole race of people. If hell ever opened up its mouth, it breathed its fury 50 miles as the crow flies from Krakow, where my blood that is inside of me is from. The day before Holy Thursday, we buried Lisa Conlon, 51. Horrible, awful, cancer, awful. I was at her deathbed and she was crying out, and we're praying the litany of the saints for the dying, with her brother there and her brother's kids and her mother, and she was screaming out. And I think I may have told you this. I'm thinking of Padre Pio, because I was just at his tomb. Things Padre Pio would say, that when you die, the devil comes and there's this fight over your soul. And then after further reflection, I thought, no, that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is she wants out of her. I don't know what happened. These are my reflections. God will tell you one day what happened and what the meaning was. This is the meaning I've ascribed to it. She wanted out of her body. She didn't want her kids to see her like this anymore. She wanted to go to heaven. She wanted to go get a reward. That was the day before Holy Thursday. Father Simon was right here. They were sitting right there with George's. George, who just lost his wife. I always think about her. Please don't ever think I don't think about your wife. I do. He's at Mass every day and he sits in the same chair. I'm going to give you a napkin because I think you get spittle sometimes. And I apologize. But don't spit back. So Father Simon was right here. I was sitting where Luke is sitting. Luke lost his mother when he was a kid. I told him privately, I'll tell you publicly, and I don't want to embarrass him. I've always looked up to that young man. He lost his mom when he was just a boy. Just a boy. His father goes to church every Sunday. His father takes his other two brothers and sister to church every Sunday. I don't know about your sister anymore. Just kidding. Okay, not. No, I am kidding. This is being recorded. Elizabeth, I'm sorry. Elizabeth, right? I got her name right. Yeah, feeling better. But what he endured, and he kept worshiping. So Thursday night of the Last Supper, someone in our parish decided to do that night of prayer for missing AJ. No one. I didn't talk to any local. I'm on tape. The point is, I already knew they were suspects. How can you not know they're suspects? I embraced them. What was I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? So the man to find out later, who you will all find out later, who dug a hole to bury his kid, I'm hugging him. I was on the lake at Main Beach praying a rosary. I just got invited. The pastor told me to go. He goes, you better go. The church needs a presence here. The church needs a presence at this event, at the Main Beach, on Thursday, on Holy Thursday. And there's a big mass here. I had to say the mass here. So I had to do both. So I'm on the beach. It's beautiful. I don't know what to say. I'm praying the rosary. He walks right over to me. What am I going to say? I asked him, what should I say? And then we did that event. And then it was Good Friday. Then it was Saturday. Sunday, his mother came to church. Again, by now, we're pretty clear. People are pretty clear in the know what's happening. What did I do? I embraced her. I took her in. She said, where are you saying Mass? I said, I'm saying Mass in that room. She came in that room. We had Mass. I don't think I kept a poker face. I've been wired this way. I've been wired this way. In all the sorrows and all the tragedies and all the sufferings and all the difficulties, and you've shared them as well in different ways. I've got one answer. I got one solution. I got one witness. I got one symbol. It's the cross of Jesus Christ. God the Father, who did not spare his own son. He went through a brutal murder. At whose hands? Here's what separates a lot of us. I did it. I did it. My sentence is eternal life and judgment. Not in a happy, holy heaven. I've accepted my responsibility. I go to confession. I did this to him. The Father buried his only son, who died at the hands of murderers. And when he shows up in today's gospel, those were his friends, his closest friends who abandoned him. And again, I don't know what you would say. If I was Jesus and showed up in today's gospel, I'd be like, wait a minute. Chuck and Mark, what's going on, Gary? I thought we were friends. I needed you. So I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to exonerate. I have confidence in doctors. I have confidence in a criminal justice system. But I am here to plead for my own mercy. I want, when I die, which I don't know when that day is going to come. None of us does. I want mercy. I do believe in one real way, what I deal out unto others will be dealt unto me. I really believe that. It ain't karma. That's something else. I believe that the Lord, when the Father, this is fascinating to me, when the Father decided to raise his Son from the dead, remember, he was crowned too with thorns. It wasn't just nailed, he was crowned, he was beaten. Well, these wounds go away. Nobody commented on the thorns in his head. Did anyone ever comment on his thorns in the head after he was resurrected? No. What do they comment on? His hands and his feet and his side. Those wounds stayed. They're glorified now. There has to be some rich meaning to the Father's raising of the Son 40 hours after the death and keeping those. There has to be some deep, rich meaning to those wounds existing. There has to be some shelter from the storm. There has to be some solace for the sufferer. There must be some triumph to those who experience tragedy in the risen Christ. And I have no other explanations. I have no other answers. This starts with, remember how this starts? The door is locked for fear of the Jews. They're hiding. They're hiding. They don't want to feel. A lot of people don't want to feel. I know when I drank. I know why I drank. I didn't want to feel. I look back at my life as an early priest. When the pastor warned me. And I know the guy was, Mike Baumgart. His wife died at 41, left 4 kids. He warned me, he goes, don't get that close to that family. You're a new priest. Don't get that close. Don't get that close. And I remember Tom Fleming and being in his home pouring the scotch 20 years ago. Had no idea at the time what I was doing. I was burying feelings of grief and sorrow and hurt. In a case like what happened in our town, in some ways, I'm just going to go here. In some ways, if you don't question where God is, there might be something wrong with you. How about that angle? If sometime, you look at Auschwitz, I mean, obviously on a much grander scale, and I worked for Maryville Academy with DCFS in emergency shelter. I have to get this out. I don't know how many, there's only one AJ. Do you know how many kids are being abused as I'm giving this homily? How many kids are being neglected? Not just in foster care, not just as wards of the state, not just in the system of Illinois child care, in homes, in our town. You think this is the only? You can't think that. So there's a lot here. And I'm not going to wrap it up in a nice bow. It doesn't get in a nice box. All I'm saying is I got to feel these things, and I do, and I talk, and I'm talking to others. The police are talking to others. And they should. And if you have something still aching, maybe it's not him. Maybe his death brought something up in you that you never dealt with. Maybe there's some unresolved hurt in your heart. Maybe your father did something to you, or your mother did something to you. Maybe it wasn't a beating and a thrashing that poor kid took. But maybe it was something else. Maybe you in your heart of hearts, if you gave yourself some time and some serious reflection, felt shorted by your mom or felt shorted by your dad. Or you weren't picked on the team, or you never thought you were handsome enough or beautiful enough. Whatever it may be, the wounds of Christ stay glorified. They say suffering has meaning. So when he shows up in the locked room, that was my point. These guys all ran away. He doesn't condemn. He doesn't say, hey, I can't use those words. But anyway, he doesn't say that. He says peace. Whoa! And it ain't, again, I keep doing this. It ain't this. That's the hippie peace. That's pot smoking 1970s Vietnam, let's get out of the war peace. It's a different kind of peace. The Jewish shalom is, I paid the ultimate price for what you did. I'll take responsibility. I got the mic. For what I did. I paid it, Jerome. Don't be walking around like a mope. Don't walk around downcast because you did I know you did it. You took responsibility, and I paid it. Now please be consoled. It may take time. It's a process. We're all at different stages. But be assured of my strength. Be assured of my fellowship with you. You know, the people in the man, I should mention the man, the people who worked with the father in the recovery community in this town, because I'm familiar with them, they've shown the most mercy. I'm not saying for you to do it right now. Let me quote the great Monsignor Hermes, who taught me this, and I'll never forget it. When people come to confession and they've got a hurt or a pain or some injustice done them and they can't let go, Monsignor says, can you pray for the grace to begin to forgive? I can't ask you to forgive right now completely or totally. Maybe someone's already there, but I suspect most are not. On this Divine Mercy Sunday, where God's greatest attribute is mercy, can you at least say a prayer that God would allow us to begin to forgive her and him and all those in our lives that may have hurt us or put us down or discouraged us or made fun of us or gossiped about us or mocked us, in some cases betrayed us. Can we? There's a peace in Christ. So he gives them peace. I'm telling you, this Jewish shalom, not the hippie peace, it's beyond the understanding. Words do not have the ability to carry the meaning of the peace Jesus achieved by dying on the cross. It's beyond the intellect, it's beyond the emotions, it's beyond our experience. But it's real. And I ask you, and I will start myself to trust it and to trust him, that one day, ultimately, the gates of hell, the devil, Father Evans and I walked over to the house, and he got permission to do the exorcism prayers of, not manifestation, what is it called? The prayers of deliverance, but it's when evil shows up. It's not like a full-blown exorcism like the movie. But infestation. Infestation. And he'll explain that to you later, Father Evans. But in the end, the devil does not win this. And the gates of hell do not prevail. Christ has risen from the grave, my friends. He is victorious. Christ, it's my faith. I'm going with it. It's my final answer. And I'm staking my life upon it. And we celebrate. Every time we come to Mass, we celebrate in a real, serious, physical, mysterious, yet very real way Christ's victory over the grave. And I choose to believe that that innocent child sits at Jesus Christ's right hand. And I pray that by God's mercy, you and I might be so fortunate to one day join him at the right hand of the Savior. There'll be no more tears. There'll be no more children that are innocent that are being hurt. There'll be no more injustice. There will be peace. Eternal rest. Grant unto that little boy. And may perpetual light shine upon him.